There's a kind of woman who doesn't simply enter your life. She arrives like lightning, unexpected and uncontrollable. She doesn't knock. She kicks the door open with wild energy, and before you can even react, she's in. You don't fall in love with her carefully. It's instant. It's visceral. You feel her before you understand her. She's unpredictable, magnetic, and completely outside the mold of what you've known. There's a fire in her eyes and chaos in her spirit. You mistake that chaos for passion, and why wouldn't you? She makes you feel something that no one else has. She draws you in with the thrill of the unknown. One moment she's affectionate, laughing like she's never known pain. The next, she's distant, unreadable, a ghost in the same room, and you begin chasing her emotional weather. You think the emotional roller coaster means depth, but it's a trap. She's not trying to hurt you. She's just wired differently. Her intensity isn't love, it's survival. She's seeking stimulation, not connection. And while you're falling deeper, thinking you've found something rare, she's simply watching how far you're willing to go. She doesn't need to destroy you. You'll do it yourself, thinking you're helping her. You call it fate. You call it chemistry. But really, it's a storm. And storms aren't meant to be captured. They're meant to pass. You don't recognize it yet, but the moment you start questioning your peace to hold on to her, the game has already begun. And the game isn't about love. It's about power. She's not evil, just emotionally unstable. And your presence gives her fuel. What you think is fate is actually just the beginning of a cycle you'll struggle to escape. She's not your blessing. She's your lesson. What starts as magnetic intensity quickly mutates into something far more complicated. You begin to notice the inconsistency, but by then you're too deep to walk away. She's already under your skin. She doesn't just capture your heart. She takes hold of your mind. You begin thinking about her constantly. Not in awe, but in confusion. Why did she go cold again? Was it something you said? Did you miss a sign? The overthinking starts. You begin adjusting your tone second, guessing your responses, trying to be what she needs, without knowing what that even is. She's emotional, impulsive, and unstable, but instead of backing away, you dive deeper, convinced you can bring balance to her storm. You see the glimpses of her softness, her charm, her hurt, and you think she just needs someone steady. But you're not helping her by being her stability. You're feeding the cycle. She doesn't want calm. She wants stimulation. She wants intensity, conflict, the constant dance of tension and release. You find yourself in an emotional loop, pulled in, pushed out, praised, then punished. And what's worse, you start blaming yourself. You tell yourself she's this way because she's been hurt. You excuse the behavior because you see her pain. But pain is not permission. And love is not supposed to feel like walking on glass. She's not changing, you are. You're losing your frame, your focus, your peace. The longer you stay, the more you shrink. You think you're loving her, but what you're really doing is abandoning yourself. And she won't stop you. In fact, she'll reward you for it briefly, then punish you again, and the cycle continues, not because she's cruel, but because chaos is all she knows. Eventually, the emotional toll becomes impossible to ignore. You're no longer waking up in peace. You're waking up in uncertainty. You can't predict what mood she'll be in, what version of her you'll meet that day. Your nervous system stays on high alert, and you begin to confuse anxiety for affection. You mistake tension for depth, and every now and then, when she's warm again, when she shows that soft, beautiful side you first fell for, you think she's back. You think progress is being made, but it's not progress. It's a reset in the cycle. You start craving those little highs just to make the lows tolerable. That's not love. It's emotional survival. And you tell yourself it's temporary, that it's just a phase, that she'll change when she feels secure. But deep down, you know better. You know this isn't healthy. Yet walking away feels impossible. Not because you need her, but because you've built yourself. Worth around her validation. When she's distant, you question your masculinity. When she's sweet, you feel whole again. She's not just in your life. She's in your identity. And the deeper you go, the harder it is to remember who you were before her. Your goals blur. Your passions dim. You start existing in response to her behavior, and that's when it hits you. You're not in a relationship, you're in an emotional prison. A prison with velvet walls and golden chains. From the outside, people envy it. On the inside, you're dying slowly. You want to fix it. But this isn't something that gets fixed. It's something you survive, and the first step to survival is brutal honesty. You're not happy. You're addicted to her chaos. And if you don't break free, it's only going to get worse. At some point, you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending that her inconsistency is romantic mystery. You stop calling the anxiety in your chest passion. You realize that what you've been in wasn't love. It was emotional manipulation. Subtle, seductive, and unintentional. But manipulation all the same. You kept waiting for the version of her you saw in the beginning to come back. But that version was never real. It was a mask. A carefully curated performance meant to draw you in, not because she's evil, but because she needs validation to feel alive. You were never supposed to stay. You were supposed to orbit around her, fuel her for a while, and disappear like the rest. But you didn't. You cared, and that's where it broke. Because once you wanted more than chaos, she pulled away. When you started needing peace, she started craving space. She doesn't hate you. She fears what you represent. Stability, structure, accountability, all things she was never ready for, and you see it clearly now. You realize you've been trying to build a home in a storm, trying to plant roots in shifting sand, and the more you gave, the more she drifted, because she was never looking for a man. She was looking for a mirror. Someone to reflect her intensity, her drama, her pain. The moment you stopped reflecting that, she lost interest, and it hurts. It hurts to realize she never loved you the way you loved her. But it's also freeing. Because now you know it was never about your worth. It was about her wounds, and that clarity is your way out. Then comes the moment that changes everything, not in drama but in stillness. You don't leave in anger. You don't walk away to teach her a lesson. You walk away because you finally value your peace more than your obsession. You no longer need her to apologize, to explain, or to change. You just need distance. You've learned what happens when you betray yourself for someone else's chaos. You've felt the exhaustion of trying to rescue someone who doesn't want saving, and now you choose differently. You choose quiet over conflict. You choose growth over fantasy. You realize that peace isn't boring, it's sacred, and love shouldn't be a battlefield. It should feel like coming home. You don't hate her. You even hope she finds healing. But you know now that you're not the one who can provide it. That's not your role. Your role is to reclaim yourself, to rediscover the man you were before the storm, to rebuild the boundaries that got eroded, and to trust yourself again. You don't need closure. You don't need one last conversation. You need action, detachment, discipline, and as you walk away, you might feel empty at first. But that emptiness is not loss. It's space. Space to grow, space to breathe, space to finally heal, and when the dust settles, you won't miss the chaos. You'll wonder why you tolerated it for so long, because now you remember who you are, and you never lose that again.